Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi with a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast, which for today looks a little cloudier, a little cooler than what it's been for the rest of the week. Yesterday we got up to 91 degrees. Today we'll struggle to hit 80 degrees for us here in Denver. That's thanks to those clouds overhead. You can see that level, those mid to kind of high level clouds that are overhead here in the Denver area. We've had a few peaks of sunshine here or there. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a few more of those as we head through the early part of the afternoon, but the big story will be much cooler temperatures, much cloudier conditions, and the chance for a storm here in Denver. I would not hold your breath, water your garden, water your trees, because unfortunately it doesn't look like we're going to get much in the way of any meaningful rainfall along the Front Range. In the mountains, perhaps a different story, but here in town, probably not looking all that impressive, so better chance for storms and more kind of meaningful storms in the mountains. By the way, higher elevations could see some snow above 13,000 feet for all of you hanging around up there. So for our marmot watching community, just keep in mind that we will be talking about a little bit of snow above 13,000 feet. All right, temperatures right now, 50s and 60s into the mountains. Look at that in Telluride. Ooh, that looks delightful. 50 degrees up there in Telluride. Real taste of fall in the mountains here along the Front Range. In eastern Colorado, 70s and 80s. Fairly typical for mid-September. A little bit of light rain and, yes, some light snow. Again, you got to get way up there to see that, some of those flakes flying, but we are seeing some of those this morning. I know we had a dusting around Leadville in some areas up that way, but here in town, again, it's just mainly cloudy and cool for us this morning. This is actually all thanks to the remnants of what was a week ago a powerful Category 2 hurricane. Hurricane K's remnants spinning their way through Colorado. Now that rain will be, again, mainly in the mountains. Here along the Front Range, we do get a few showers that try and kick their way on through, and maybe one or two stronger storms in far southeastern Colorado. That would be mainly Prowers and Baca counties. We're at the chance at seeing maybe some gusty winds, maybe some large hail. I don't think too many of us out that way see too much in the way of severe weather, but something to keep in mind that Baca County under a level 1 risk on a 0 to 5 scale in terms of that potential for severe storms. We turned that a marginal risk, and that's again going to be mainly for Baca County. Wouldn't be surprised if we do see again a stronger storm on up into Prowers County as well. South of Highway 50 will be the best chance at seeing a stronger storm. Now here in Denver, no severe weather expected, really not much in the way of weather. Some puny showers are going to try and squeak their way out through the Denver area between about 4 and 8 p.m., probably towards the front end of that window, but some of the models trying to maybe push that back a little bit. Long story short, if you have some outdoor plans this afternoon, this evening, just don't be too stunned if you get a few raindrops in the windshield and maybe even a lightning strike or two. Of course, if you hear thunder, that is your cue from Mother Nature that it is time to head on indoors. When thunder roars, head indoors. And that should be pretty much it. Maybe some gusty winds up to 40, 50 miles an hour. That is pretty much all it here, folks. I hope we'll get through this together. 1/100th of an inch of rain for us here in Denver. Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe a bit more appreciable rainfall into the foothills and along the Palmer Divide. But even in those areas, most of us, well, not going to see a whole lot in the way of meaningful rainfall. Temperatures on the cooler side today, about 10 degrees cooler than they were this time yesterday. And we'll be talking about those temps topping out maybe in the low, maybe mid-80s. We get a few peaks of sunshine. Shower or storm possible between 4 and 8. As I mentioned, probably the front end of that window will be more likely to see that shower or storm, but again, wouldn't be too stunned if we see something around 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. Temperatures in the 80s, Eastern Plains, 50s and 60s. Real cool on up into the mountains where we're a bit rainier, a bit cloudier, and of course higher elevations. So that's why we're talking about those temperatures so much cooler in the mountains than along the Front Range. Tomorrow, just 78 here in Denver. So you'll notice the cool down here in town. We do have some late storms around for us tomorrow afternoon with those highs that again will probably stay below 80 degrees here in town. And some of those showers and storms perhaps kicking on up once again. Notice tomorrow morning on up into the West Elks as well as into the Collegiate Peaks. You get way up there, again 13,000 feet plus a little bit of snow and some rain showers moving their way through parts of south central Colorado. Again, the West Elk and the Collegiate Peaks most likely to get some of that rain tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow afternoon we'll push some of that rain in northern Colorado. Maybe a better chance tomorrow here in Denver that we get more than just a few raindrops in the windshield. I think we get something a bit more maybe appreciable tomorrow, perhaps. Fingers crossed, we could certainly use it. And maybe we get some of that tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Forecast highs for tomorrow, even cooler than today's, will be about 5 degrees cooler tomorrow compared to today. And then that 7-day forecast, we'll get those temperatures on up into the 80s by the time we get into your Saturday. Still a few storms around for Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we're up near 90 degrees all 3 of those days before showers and storms, and perhaps a more meaningful cool down for early to mid next week. Computer models still a little all over the place. It is a week out, but it does look like we get a real taste of fall here along the Front Range for the middle part of next week, when we could see those highs as low as the 60s or low 70s for us. Again, for the middle part of next week, and still figuring out some of those details, rain, mountain snow, some of that still being worked out. Doesn't look to be all that significant at this point is what I would say, though. It doesn't look like we're going to see a hole on the way of meaningful mountain snow or rain here along the Front Range. I would just again say that it does look like it's going to be much cooler for the middle part of next week, with maybe some gusty winds and maybe some rain and snow. Knock on whatever this is made out of. I think this is some sort of linoleum, or whatever this table is. Knock on that. So with that said, meteorologist Keely Chalmers will have an update for you coming up at 9 News at noon. Then Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabins in at 4 and 5, and then meteorologist Lauren Robinson in at 6, 9, and 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks. Once again, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and enjoy the cloudier and I suppose somewhat cooler weather today and tomorrow. We'll see you right back here on 9 News Plus tomorrow afternoon.